He hid his soul inside a needle. The needle was inside an egg. The egg was inside a duck. The duck was inside a hare. The hare was locked in a chest. The chest was buried under an oak tree. The oak tree grew on an island in the middle of the ocean that may or may not have been visible depending on the tides and the wind. That is one of the most elaborate immortality schemes in the history of mythology, and the traditional folklore is consistent on one thing: whoever holds the egg holds Koschei. His strength drains, his magic fails, he loses all leverage. In several versions of his stories, this is exactly how he is brought down: the egg found, the needle broken, Koschei undone by the very system he built. But in the version most people are familiar with, none of that happens. He dies in a way no one expects. In this video, we go through both the versions, along with where Koschei likely came from before he was a folktale villain, the island the soul was buried on, and how his influence quietly reached modern fiction in ways most people never connect back to him. By the end, Koschei is still a villain. He is just a considerably stranger one than the version most people know. Welcome. This is Mythology for you. Let's get into it. His name comes from the Slavic word for bone, kost. Koschei is drawn consistently as skeletal, thin to the point of looking structural rather than living, with fingers like branches and eyes described in some sources as unblinking and reptilian. He is not the kind of villain that inspires any ambiguity about whether he might secretly be attractive. He is visually constructed to look like something past the edge of life. He is also, in multiple versions of his stories, a czar, not a monster lurking in a cave, but a ruler with a kingdom, a court, a horse of his own that is described as genuinely magical. He kidnaps women not out of chaos, but with a kind of possessive deliberateness. He wages war. He makes deals. He is organized in a way that actual monsters in folklore rarely are. Some scholars connect him to Veles, the pre-Christian Slavic god of the underworld, cattle, magic, and the dead. Veles was one of the most significant deities in the Slavic pantheon before Christianity arrived and reclassified him. After that reclassification, gods associated with the underworld became demons and villains, stripped of their original complexity. What was once a god of the dead became a wicked sorcerer who was afraid of dying. The demotion is itself a kind of story. There is also a historical theory. Some researchers have pointed to Contradict, a Polovtsian leader of the 12th century, whose documented lifespan stretched across more than a century by contemporary accounts, a span so unusual that surrounding cultures found it difficult to explain through ordinary means. Contradict was powerful, feared, and seemed to outlast everyone around him. That kind of longevity, in that era, had a tendency to become mythology. Koschei's immortality works like this. He removed his soul from his body. He physically separated the thing that makes him killable from the thing that walks around and causes problems. His body can be wounded, even killed by conventional means, and he will simply recover because the part of him that can actually die is somewhere else. That somewhere else is the needle inside the egg, inside the duck, inside the hare, inside the chest, under the oak tree on the island of Bayan. Each layer is a problem the hero has to solve before reaching the next one. If someone finds and opens the chest, the hare bolts. If the hare is caught and killed, the duck inside it tries to fly away. Only when someone has the egg in their hands does Koschei begin to weaken. The scheme is built like a matryoshka doll, which is either a coincidence or one of those moments where a culture's form of play and its form of storytelling turn out to share the same deep logic. The egg also functions as a control mechanism, not just a kill switch. Possession of it is enough to weaken Koschei. His magic drains, his strength fades, and he has no way to resist someone who holds it. In versions of the stories where the egg is actually found, this is the moment the hero gains the upper hand. The system designed to protect Koschei becomes the instrument of his defeat. The island of Bayan is not just a fairy tale location. It appears in actual East Slavic incantations. spoken spells recorded in the 19th and early 20th centuries, used for healing, protection, and harm. The phrase that begins many of these spells, "on the sea, on the ocean, on the island of Bayan," is a ritual formula. It points to a place that exists at the boundary between the ordinary world and something beyond it. Bayan appears and disappears with the tides and the moods of the wind spirits said to live there. It's the home of the dawn, the sun's path, and the forces that control the seasons and weather. It is not simply a remote island. It is a liminal space, a place that feels real because it serves a purpose, but remains out of reach, like the deepest part of something meant to stay protected. Koschei did not hide his soul in a random location. He hid it in the most mythologically secure address available. The fact that this address also appeared in the protective spells of ordinary people says something about how integrated Bayan was into the Slavic understanding of where power and safety could be located. The most famous story involving Koschei is called The Death of Koschei the Deathless, collected by Alexander Afanasiev in the 19th century. The title promises exactly what the elaborate immortality system was designed to prevent. It delivers that death, but not through the system. Ivan Tsarevich has married the warrior princess Maria Morevna. When Maria leaves for war, Ivan is left alone in her castle and opens the one door she told him never to open. Behind it is Koschei, chained and near dead. Against her explicit instructions, Ivan gives the prisoner water, 3 buckets of it. With each bucket, Koschei recovers a portion of his strength, and after the 3rd, he breaks his chains, takes Maria, and disappears. Ivan spends the rest of the story trying to get her back. Each time Ivan finds Maria, Koschei's horse outruns them. On the 3rd attempt, Koschei loses patience and kills Ivan, sealing what remains in a barrel and throwing it into the sea. Ivan is revived by his brothers-in-law using water of life. He then goes to Baba Yaga, the old witch of the forest, who gives him a horse faster than Koschei's. There is already a full video on her if you want to know more about Baba Yaga. He finds Maria again, and this time, Ivan's horse kicks Koschei in the head hard enough to crack it open. Ivan finishes him off and burns the body. All of that, the island, the chest, the egg, the needle, none of it came into play. The most elaborate immortality scheme in Slavic folklore did not save him. A better horse did him in. There is a version of this, attributed to the Andrew Lang collection, that implies the egg may have already been destroyed before the story began, which would explain why the method worked. But that is an interpretation layered over the tale, not something the tale itself provides. Most versions simply ignore the egg entirely. They tell the story of a kidnapper caught by a faster horse, not the story of an immortality scheme undone. Koschei is not a villain who happens to be immortal. He is a figure built around the terror of death, someone so afraid of dying that he built an entire existence around avoiding it, and became something monstrous in the process. The spell required removing his own soul, separating himself from the very thing that makes a person a person. He traded it for survival. Koschei is a precise and specific version of an old idea, that the fear of death, taken far enough, does more damage than death itself would have. The concept of a soul hidden outside the body to grant immortality appears in more modern fiction than most people connect back to Koschei. The Horcrux in the Harry Potter series. The animated film Anastasia, released in 1997, draws its villain Rasputin directly from Koschei's template. Catherine Valente's novel Deathless, published in 2011, reimagines the Koschei story in Soviet Russia, offering one of the most thoughtful English-language takes, portraying him not as a simple villain, but as someone shaped by his refusal to accept death. What do you guys think about this? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.